Yeah, I don't think we need the discussions. Behind you there's a discussion. I call on the Honourable Willow-Jean Prime.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Soul-destroying is how one survivor responded to the government's shameful redress announcement on Friday. The hundreds of thousands of people who survived abuse and care have a right to feel disappointment and hurt due to this announcement. Mr. Speaker, the final report from the Royal Commission was clear. Survivors wanted an independent redress system, and funneling more money into systems that have harmed them in the past is, without question, the wrong call. Mr. Speaker, we offered to take politics off the table and to work with the government to make sure we lived up to the words in our formal apologies last year, but the government chose not to take up this offer. We are asking them to reconsider this. We are asking them to reconsider the poor decision they have made on redress and listen to the voices of survivors. Survivors shouldn't still have to be fighting for this. Many are tired of fighting. For too long, survivors have fought to have their voices heard, and it's a disgrace that still, after the formal apologies were made, they are still fighting. This is yet another injustice that survivors of abuse and care are having to deal with. Mr. Speaker, last year, the Prime Minister, Christopher Luxon, said in the Crown apology, quote, "I want to assure you it is our intention to have a new single redress system operating next year." During that speech, Mr. Luxon also acknowledged that many of you, understandably, do not want to engage with the current redress system. Some parts of it are 20 years old, and it can take up to 5 years for your claims to be addressed. The Royal Commission gave clear, very clear guidance to the government that survivors must be involved in designing and implementing this redress system. Survivors have spent decades fighting to be heard. The Royal Commission of Inquiry gave them an opportunity to share their often harrowing stories. It also gave them hope that their immense suffering, pain and trauma would be acknowledged, not only financially, but also through improved access to services and proper apologies. Now, yet again, they feel ignored and silenced, once again harmed by the very state that hurt them so much when they were supposed to be cared for. Mr. Speaker, what this government has delivered. Instead, the government have delivered nothing of what they promised, far from what survivors wanted. What the final Royal Commission report recommended, as survivor Keith Whiffen has put, is another backward step after we were given the opportunity to do something, really good and make a difference that has been ripped away from us. The Royal Commission was very clear survivors needed to be involved in designing and implementing a new independent system for redress. The government has also completely ignored that. Further, survivors of abuse while in the care of faith-based institutions have been excluded and are not eligible to seek redress under the current system. This is contrary to the Royal Commission's recommendation that the redress scheme is accessible to all survivors in state and faith-based care. The reactions to the announcement came through on Friday, Mr. Speaker, from two chaplains describing it as a kick in the guts, many saying they are hugely disappointed, another saying a slap in the face. Disappointed because they had so much hope in the government's words that were delivered in the formal apology, which said that they would set up a new redress system. And to have waited all that time from the apology until Friday, only to be told that that was not the case, that the government was going to simply be putting more money into the system which they have so many issues and grievances with, was for them, in their words, heartbreaking. I have many questions for the Minister. In particular, I want to know how it is that the Minister stood at the announcement and said that she had consulted survivors, that she had worked with survivors, with the high-level design group, that she was clear with them that their their proposal was too unique and too ambitious, and that she had said that to them and made that clear to them, because that's not what I understand those who were involved with that understood from any meetings that they had with the Minister. Because if that was so clear, then why did they hold out so much hope that the government this year would announce a new redress system? If it was that clear last year when those conversations were apparently had, then why were they so disappointed in the Minister's announcement on Friday? I want to know what advice the Minister received about establishing an independent redress system. What advice did she receive? When did she receive that advice? What consultation did she do with survivors around the advice that she had received on setting up an independent redress system? When she has said that the high-level design group's report, which she had for well over a year, from the Royal Commission's 2021 report was clear on what redress was required, how can she say that an independent redress system is too difficult and too time-consuming to establish? To be clear, the government has had more time than since the apology to do this work. When did the Minister cut survivors out of the process for the design of what was announced on Friday? And why did the Minister do that? When the Royal Commission and the High-Level Design Group recommended that a foundation of any redress system had to be the active involvement of survivors all along, why did the Minister not do that? When will the Minister release the High-Level Design Group's proposal, Pūtahi Te Mauri he Waiora e? And did she make any attempt to use the design proposals from the High-Level Design Group's proposal, Pūtahi Te Mauri he Waiora e? And what advice did she receive and analysis regarding the High-Level Design Group's proposal, Pūtahi Te Mauri he Waiora e, including aspects of it that can be implemented? Mr. Speaker, in the final minute that I have, I want to reiterate the messages that I again want to repeat. The call from survivors. We ask the government to reconsider their decision. We need to work closely with survivors. It's their voices that matter most on this. We said we'd do right by them, and this announcement is doing wrong. We must listen to their voices, to their experiences of distrust with the current system. Mr. Speaker, this has been, in my view, one of the most harrowing issues to come to this House. And it deserves the House's full attention and this government's proper consideration of truly considering the recommendations from the Royal Commission to redress those wrongs of the past. And so that is my challenge and questions to the Minister.
The Honourable...
Let's... How do you dissect that?
Good question. That's what I spent a good portion of yesterday doing. So prepare for a bit of reading from me. I'm sorry, I know you don't like filibustering, Sam, but yeah, I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. So I'm going to quote Luxon here because back in November, he stated a number of things. Let me just grab the quote. Yeah, government apologies for abuse and care. Here we go. So this is what Luxon said. I'm pleased to announce today that the government has completed or started work on 28 recommendations in the report. So today I'm announcing the government will invest an additional $32 million to increase capacity in the current system while we work on the new redress system. But I want to assure you that it is our intention to have a new single redress system operating next year. So that's what he said last year. And he also stated that today I'm announcing a National Remembrance Day that will be held on November 12th next year. So November 12th this year, folks, to mark the 1 year anniversary of this apology. So I really do hope that in November this year that people come out and hold Luxon accountable for what has happened, because you're looking through the Royal Commission, right? Luxon said that the government looked at the pros and cons of a new system and there were a couple of issues with it. It takes time to put a new redress system in place. It costs a lot of money, and you've got to be able to guarantee that you can get a better result than what you're doing right now. Now, my statement on this, my commentary on this, is that this would be justifiable if he had not said, but I want to assure you that it is our intention to have a new single redress system operating next year. Because what happens is you've got survivors that are watching Luxon give this apology, right? And when you've got people who are victims of abuse, and a lot of these people have disabilities, they really need assurances and plain language. You can't talk about this shit as if you're addressing a boardroom of shareholders, right? Now, dissecting that statement, but I want to assure you it is our intention, okay? I've been to Massey University. I've studied critical thinking and academic writing. Now, if this was a paper that I read, I would say, okay, there's a lot of hedging words used here. So it says intention, but it's not a guarantee. Now, for victims of abuse, they may misunderstand that as intention being it is a goal, it is set in stone to have a new single redress system. Now, I had a look at the Royal Commission report, and recommendation 95, it states, the Minister for the Public Service should, within 4 months of tabling this report in the House of Representatives, make public the Crown's initial response to the report's recommendations, and this response should include dates by which Purutumu Torowhainui scheme, so that's the new scheme that's been recommended, will be established and ready to receive claims and civil litigation reforms enacted. So what it appears to me, what Luxon has done, is that he's thrown a date out there, right, into the ether, and it's put a lot of pressure on public servants to deliver something that they don't have the resources to fully develop or deliver within a short time frame.
Sounds like Family Boost.
Yeah. Sorry for the filibustering, guys. I know it's boring going through legal stuff, but it's really important because this is a really important topic. I wanted to get it right.
Okay.